Okay, so today I just wanted to do a quick review of all the conjugating that we did last week. Now I'm going to go through this pretty quickly. So if you need to go back to watch the videos from last week, that is the ideal if you're still having troubles. If you feel like you're in a good place right now, this video is just going to be a quick little refresher just to kind of summarize all the things that we went over. Now there are a few other verbs that we didn't talk about yet. I don't know when I'll get to that or if I will even just yet. They're verbs that are important, but less important than the ones that we've gone over so far. And they've got close to the same rules, but just slight variations. So maybe in another video, I'll cover those sometime. But for now, like I said, I just wanted to do a quick review of the stuff that you should have gone over last week. Forming the present subjunctive, the conjugating, it's basically yo form, drop the yo of the ending, add the opposite ending. You can see hablar, comer, escribir. They work out very well. If you were to start with hablo, the yo form of hablar, and como and escribo, you would just drop the O of the endings of each of them and add the opposite ending, which means for AR verbs, that's an E, an ES, and an E, and EMOS for nosotros, and ACE, and N for the ellos, ustedes. Comer, and escribir, there's an ER and IR verbs. The opposite ending for those is the A. So A and AS, A, AMOS, A con acento, IS, and AN. Now, that's not really that big of a deal for here going to yo form, but when we get into some of the other conjugations that are out there that are with the irregular yo forms, here we go. So you can see here that we've got the yo form of like conocer is conozco. That ZCO ending there, that is going to start off our conjugation with all of our forms of the subjunctive. So conozco is a yo form present tense indicative, and the present tense subjunctive, we are going to have that Z in every conjugation. So we'll have conozca for the yo, conozcas, conozca, conozcamos, conozcáis, conozcan. And diga, digas, diga, digamos, digáis, digan, haga, hagas, haga. Throughout, we're going to have all those changes. And so that's why we do the yo form, drop the yo, because that irregular form that happens in the yo form happens in all of the forms of the present subjunctive. Now, if you end up going to the yo form of the present indicative, like conozco and digo and hago and oigo and pongo, but you end up having a verb that doesn't end in O, it doesn't have an O at the end of the conjugation, that means you have one of the irregular verbs. Like dar becomes doy, and estoy, and voy, and se, and soy. As you can see, just in order there. Plus, haber should be thrown on here as well. Haber is a in the yo form. So those all have irregular endings or irregular conjugations. As you can see, it's listed on the screen right now. Just remember, the reason we know they're irregular is they don't end in O in the yo form. So we have those irregulars. Also, on top of this, we've got our stem changing verbs. Now, our stem change happens, this is the present tense. So it happens in the present tense indicative. It happens in the exact same spots in the present tense subjunctive. But in the nosotros and vosotros of IR verbs, you also have a change. You normally wouldn't have that change, but in nosotros and vosotros, as you can see in these bottom three verbs right here, they all have IR at the end. Therefore, they have a change in nosotros and vosotros. Right here, nosotros and vosotros. Now, one thing you might notice, especially in the bottom two, is that it's a single letter change. Now, if pedir, pida, pidas, pida, and pidan in the boot, it's an E to I in all those forms. It's also E to I in nosotros and vosotros. So not that special. But if you look at sentir, E to IE in the boot, but just E to I in nosotros and vosotros. Same thing with dormir. O to UE in the boot, O to U in nosotros and vosotros. One more thing to go over are our spell changing verbs. Car, sar. Let's see if I can find those. Here we are. So with gar, sar, you can see we have the change, which we've done this before. G becomes GU, C becomes QU, Z becomes C. That spell change rule is pretty prevalent in Spanish. The thing that's really unique about this is that spell change happens in every form. We've learned it in some forms, but in this one, when it comes to the present subjunctive, remember it happens in every form. So sacar in the first one example here, sacar becomes sake, two form saques, that is spelled S-A-Q-U-E-S. Sake, saquemos, saques, saquen, they all have Q-U at the end there. Jugar and almorzar are a little bit weird because they're also stem changing verbs along with spell changing. So still follows the rules though. Stem change, these are both AR verbs. Of course, they're car and sar. They're going to be AR verbs because that's what they are, all of them. So if you ever have a spell changing verb that's also a stem changing verb, you know, you're going to stem change. It's an AR verb, so you're going to stem change in the boot, but only the boot. And then you will also spell change in every form, regardless. So for jugar, for example, you're going to stem change in the boot, and you're going to spell change in all of them. So you'll end up with juegue, stem change, and a spell change. Juegues, stem change, and a spell change. Juegue, stem change, and a spell change. Then in nosotros, you're going to have juguemos. No stem change. That's what we have the J-U-G, jug. And then that gemos, G-U-E-M-O-S. J-U-G-U-E-M-O-S. No stem change, but there is a spell change. Same thing in vosotros. When we jugues, and in the ellos ustedes, we're still in that boot, so we will have a stem change, and we will have a spell change too. So we'll have jueguen, J-U-E-G-U-E-N. And this is just a kind of a little quick summary of all the videos put together that we did last week. If you need it, you know, if this still seemed a bit off, or when you take your quiz right after this and you're not doing so great, you know, go back to the specific videos where you think you're having the struggles and, you know, revisit all of those. I'm going to go into the uses in the next video.